Okay, today we're doing rear brake pads and rotors on a 2016 Ford Escape, my neighbor's car. This will pertain to, I think, 2013 to 2019 model year Escapes, and I believe this is a two-wheel drive, so it's front-wheel drive only. The four-wheel drive should be mostly the same, except for a hub. To the center, the drive shaft hub in the center of the rear axle, I don't believe that the brake discs and the rotors are going to be, the rotors and pads are going to be any different. So what you're going to need is a 13 millimeter socket, a 7 millimeter Allen headed key, Allen key or Allen driver. A special pad spreader, which I will show you in a few minutes. It's got the two little teeth in it that pushes and spreads the pad at the same time. It's not a conventional pad spreader. They're the same on Volkswagens, Audis, other stuff like that. All use this type of pad spreader. And again, I'll show you that in a minute. Car's up on jack stands, and I'm going to be putting the wheel underneath the frame, or the side of the underneath. It's like 101 degrees out here today. I'm a little hot. Sorry, I'm stuttering a little. I'm gonna go get a drink. Anyway, and jam the wheel underneath the body for extra protection, but there is a jack stand on there and the jack as well. I'll be back in 1 second. It's a pretty quick job. Okay, first thing we're gonna remove is the caliper bolts. There's two little plastic caps back here. Pop those off. And they are a 7 millimeter Allen headed socket, so a hex head. Hopefully I'm not in your way. Push that pin a little further in, and the caliper should pop. Oh, sorry. First I got to remove the brake spring. So there's a spring. There's two little pins that go in holes here. And then the spring goes underneath the caliper mounting bracket. Oops. So you have to pop them out of the little holes up here first. That sucker is stuck in there. Come on out. I don't think this car realizes how damn hot it is out here today. There we go. The whole caliper can just pop right off. We're replacing these rotors and the pads, so prying against the rotor is not a big deal, because they are all toast. And since this one's got the parking brake attached to it, you don't have to worry about hanging it up. It's not going to be hanging by the brake hose. Let's look at how bad these pads are. I don't think there's any pad left. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. So there's two different types of pads on this. One has the spring. It's on the back where the piston is. There's a spring on the top. And the other one doesn't. There is no real brake hardware with these. with these pads, there's no sliders like a lot of calipers have a little metal. They're like little thin metal thingies in here to slide the pads on. These ones don't, which is perfect. Nice and easy. And a 13 mil. Take off the 2 bolts. I think you can see them. Can you see them there on the back side? So those are 13 millimeter. I'm going to take those 2 off and I'll be back in a second. By the way, if you like this stuff, if any of this stuff helps you, please help me by liking and subscribing. Leave a comment, tell me I'm an idiot, whatever. But back in a second once I get this off. Okay, here's the caliper bracket up. Now I want to clean where the pads are going to be running in, sorry, upside down, in these grooves here, these channels. So I'm just going to use a wire brush. And to keep the pads from getting stuck, because when rust gets in there, rust expands, I'm going to put some anti-seize. I'm just using Permatex Silver anti-seize. Yeah. You can use the copper stuff. You can use brake grease. There's a whole bunch of other things you can use. And this is just where the pads, this is the old one, but the pads are going to sit on there, and so they can slide back and forth properly and not get hung up and stuck and cause brakes to wear out prematurely. And that's all you need. Okay, we're done with that. Now we have to take this rotor off. The parking brake, again, is part of the caliper on this particular car. So there's no parking brake mechanism inside the hub there. And this rotor, as you can see, is dead, so we don't care about it. So basically just going to hammer between the studs until this whole rotor loosens. Yeah, sometimes it takes a bit. And this is a 4-year-old car. This is what Canadian road salt does to your vehicle. Look at the backing plate. Okay, you don't want to watch me bang on this for another 10 minutes. It might take 10, it might take 2. Back in 1 second once I get this thing off. About 30 seconds more whacking and it loosened. Sorry, it's so hot. My camera overheated in the sun. The overheat sensor came on. Yeah, it's honestly that hot. I pulled the rotor off. I smacked it a couple more times and it's off. Thrown in the trash now. And that is the hub as it is. And I'm going to take the same sanding wheel, wire wheel. I'm trying to stand back here in the shade. And I'm going to clean off the brake backing plate, and I'm going to clean off the surface where the hub meets the disc so that it's not stuck on like that next time. And then I'm going to paint them with Rust-Oleum, just black Rust-Oleum paint to keep them from rusting any further. So that'll take me a few minutes. Again, clean it up with a wire wheel, brush, sandpaper, whatever. Clean them up and then paint them just to make sure they last a lot longer. Back in a few minutes. Okay, so the backing plate is painted and the hub is covered in, I put some anti-seize on the hub surface. Sorry about that. And new rotor. And this is gonna have packing oil on it, the shipping oil to keep it from rusting. And you wanna spray that with brake cleaner on both sides. You don't have to wipe it off. It will just drip everything off. And we're going to spray this again before we're completely done. going to take our caliper mount. So this goes on this way. So the 2 holes on the top, there's 4 holes on the back. On the top, there's 2 holes for those pins for the caliper. They go facing that way. So you're going to stick it on this way and bolt it from the bottom. I'm going to put some, or from the back, blue thread locker. Oh, Jesus. In the heat, that has turned into water. My God. Stuff's usually pretty thick. It just needs a drop, but it's impossible to get just a drop. Jesus. These 2 bolts are going to be tightened to 45 foot-pounds, approximate. First, I'm going to tighten them with the electric wrench. My torque wrench. Oh, hello. Wow, is it ever hot? Foot-pounds, good God. Where are we? 45 is there. Okay, we're almost done. I'm almost done sweating my butt off. I'm going to push the 2 pins out of the sliders. We're going to re-grease those before we put them in. Now here's the tool that you're going to need to use to push the piston back in. In most cars, you just squeeze the piston back in with a C-clamp. With channel locks, with a pad spreader like this. But this one, like a Volkswagen and Audi and others, has pins on. I hope you can see that, the little holes in the piston. And that's because the parking brake is attached to the caliper, and they unwind, they unscrew as they come out. So, and then there's a big spring in the back to keep them out. So in order to get them back in, you have to screw them in, but you have to push at the same time. Sometimes you can do that with needle nose pliers, put the tips in there, push and turn. You can do that on a lot of Volkswagens. This one, you can't. So what this tool does is this spreads out against. You put these 2 pins in the pins on the rotor, then this part goes against the inner part there of the outer part of the caliper fingers, and as you tighten this, it pushes the 2 apart while also spinning the inner part. Wow. I'm just dripping sweat. I apologize. So I hope, let's see if you can see this. Let me try and get a better angle for you. Trying to keep my camera out of the sun and show you this at the same time. Okay, so I hope you can see those holes, and they're going to match up with the 2 pins on there. Now the end of the tool is in the holes, and as I turn it, okay, so now as this screws in, it's going to keep this in place, pulling it back and turning at the same time. So it's turning and pushing at the same time. These kits are around $20 on eBay or Amazon. And these calipers in particular do not like the needle nose plier push and turn. They just will not abide by it. So I had to use this one, which I don't pull out often. So it takes a few minutes to screw these in, to wind it all the way down till it won't go down anymore. It's going to take 3 or 4 minutes, and I'm not going to bore you watching that. So we'll come back once I'm done putting that in. Okay, so the caliper's all the way, the piston is all the way retracted. Just want to make sure this boot is nice and soft and properly tucked up in there. And oops, loosen the spreader kit and maybe you can get a better look at this. And these kits come with different ends. These ends here are different sizes with different size pins in them, depending on the, oops, you can't even see that, there we go. They pop off, depending on the vehicle, Volkswagens, Audis again. So this piston is back flush, and now we just put the pads back on and put the caliper back on. Back in 1 second. I need a drink. Okay, time to install the pads. Clean your hands. You can have dirty hands, just don't have oil and grease on your hands when you're installing the pads. Where is my anti-squeal? I had anti-squeal out here. Where did I put it? Oh, it's deciding to leak out in the sun. So anti-squeal just goes on the back of the pads. It's a very thin, it's like a paste or a caulking type of thing, and it just keeps metal from metal contact, from vibration, and it just has to go on really, really thin on the back of each pad. Does not have to be thick at all. Picked up this bottle and it exploded on my finger. Okay. Let's move this caliper out of the way for a second. Just remember we said the spring went on the back, on the piston side. It just slips in. Obviously make sure the pad side is facing the rotor. That's it. Now you're just going to slip the caliper over. And now we're going to take our slider pins, clean them off with a bit of brake cleaner. A little bit of anti-seize. Again, you can use copper, silver, you can use grease, you can use brake grease, you can use synthetic grease. You don't need a ton. This is just going to slide in and out of the rubber seal here so that the caliper can slide back and forth. We'll pop it in. Push against that brake spring, so you have to push against it. And, oops. Going to tighten it all the way. I just want to leave it enough so that I can hold it in place while I do the other pin. If these are really pitted and worn, sand them down until they're nice and shiny and chrome. If they're not smooth and slippery, they will not do their job properly, and you'll get brake seize. You'll get your brakes wearing down really quick, and your rotors wearing down real quick, which isn't good because you got to pay money for those. Oops. So these are going to be 20 foot-pounds. Torque wrench. Foot-pounds. That's 20. Cap back on, and the bottom one. Whew. I will be happy when this is done because I'm roasting my butt off. I'm probably complaining about it too much, but it's damn hot. Last thing, spring. Put the 2 pins in first, if you can get them in first. You might have to do one side or the other. And then they go down underneath the caliper mounting bracket. See, it holds the caliper down. Oops. Help if you went in your hole. Go in there. Oh, this one doesn't want to go in. Doesn't want to go in very good. I'm going to pull that one back out and put a little bit of a drop of penetrating oil in each one of those holes because these are getting corroded in there. They're getting road salt in there and getting corroded, so this one doesn't want to go all the way in. It's probably got some junk in the hole. But other than that, we're done. I'll be cleaning off the rotor from anything I've touched to make sure there's no fingerprints on there. Check your brake fluid level, make sure that's up. If it's too high, you have to remove some brake fluid. And before you go driving, push the brakes a few times to bring the pads up to the new piston surface because they're going to be away from here and they're not going to be touching. And when you hit the brakes, it's not going to do anything. So tap the brakes a few times and then they will seat against the rotor. And anyway, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment, yell, scream. Thank you very much. And I need a damn drink. Thank you.